Okay, here's something that doesn't quite add up. You eat cows, you eat pigs, you eat chickens, sheep, rabbits, even the occasional exotic meat if you're adventurous enough. But dogs and cats, almost universally off the table across most of the Western world. Do people avoid it because the meat is dangerous? Because it's illegal everywhere? Because there's something biologically different about these two animals specifically? And why did humans build an entire moral category around exactly these two species and basically nothing else? The answer isn't really about biology at all. It's about the strange, specific relationship humans built with these two animals thousands of years before agriculture even existed. First, there's an important distinction. Dog and cat meat isn't dangerous or biologically off limits. There's nothing about the meat itself that makes it inherently poisonous. Historically, and in some places still today, both have been eaten. The real question is, why don't most cultures treat them the way they treat cows, pigs, or chickens? And the answer comes down to timing and to what job these animals were originally hired to do. Let's start with dogs, because the timeline here matters a lot. Dogs were likely the very first animal humans ever domesticated, somewhere between 15 and 40,000 years ago. That's not just early. That's before farming existed at all. Before cows, before pigs, before chickens, before agriculture gave humans any livestock whatsoever, they already had dogs. Not as a food source, as hunting partners, guards, and eventually, herders. Think about what that timeline actually means. Every other major food animal entered human life after we were already farmers, already thinking in terms of livestock and yield. Dogs got there first, in a completely different category, before that economic mindset even existed. Cats entered the picture differently, but landed in a similar spot. Once humans started farming and storing grain, rodents became a serious problem. Cats didn't get domesticated the way cows did, for meat or milk. They basically domesticated themselves, showing up near grain stores to hunt mice and sticking around because they were useful. Humans never really needed to breed cats for a food product. Their value was pest control. Full stop. Now here's the part that surprises a lot of people. This taboo isn't universal, and it never really was. Dog meat has been documented in historical China, and it's still consumed today in limited, shrinking regions of Asia, which tells you something important. This isn't some hardwired human instinct against eating these specific animals. It's cultural, and it developed completely differently depending on what role the animal actually played in that particular society. In places where dogs were mainly working animals, hunting alongside people, guarding camps, herding livestock, eating one would be a bit like eating a coworker. Not biologically wrong, just a broken social contract, built up over thousands of years of working side by side. Cats have an even stranger position if you actually think it through. Most cultures that took in cats never used them for labor in any traditional sense. Their entire value was pest control, and eventually, simple companionship, which meant there was never an economic reason to farm them at scale. No decades of selective breeding for meat yield, the way there was for chickens or pigs. No infrastructure ever got built around eating them because nobody needed it to. So put both of these together, and you get the modern taboo. Dogs earned an exemption through thousands of years of working partnership, starting before agriculture even existed. Cats earned one through pest control and companionship that had nothing to do with meat, and no economic incentive ever pushed against that. And once an animal gets culturally filed under co-worker instead of food, that category tends to stick for thousands of years, long after the original reason for it stops being relevant. Here's the strange part, though. Pigs are, by several measures, at least as intelligent as dogs, and in certain cognitive tests, they've actually outperformed them, and pigs remain one of the most widely eaten animals on the planet. So intelligence alone doesn't explain any of this either. It really does come down to the specific job a culture happened to assign that particular animal thousands of years ago, and whether food was ever on the list of jobs available to it in the first place. So why don't we eat cats and dogs? Not because the meat is dangerous, not because they're smarter than the animals we do eat. It's because somewhere in deep human history, before farms, before livestock, before any of it, these two animals got hired for different jobs. One hunted beside us, the other solved a problem we had. And once an animal becomes a co-worker instead of livestock, most cultures never really go back to seeing it any other way.